is up, YouTube family? Thank you guys for tuning back into Wilburn Reactions. My name is Chod. If you are new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. Give this video a thumbs up, notification bells. We are headed into Vanity. If you're not familiar, she was the singer with Prince. I am familiar with her. I was a big Prince fan, and I knew her vocals were amazing. Believe it or not, you can believe it or not, my father, who is an organist, for those who've been with me for a long time, keyboardist, he did play for her one time. She came to Bakersfield, and she came to a church here in Bakersfield, and my dad actually got to play for her. I was young, I was a baby, I didn't get to see her or witness this, but there is a picture floating around somewhere in my dad's house with her there, and supposedly she's holding me as a baby. I have seen the photo. It is in the photo album, but like I said, I was young and I don't remember it, but I do see myself in the photo being held by Vanity. So I have something great to look up to. I gotta get that photo so I can show you guys from my mom and her photo album, and I will share that on a community post once I get my hands on that. But it is a true story, and there is a photo to prove it. And yes, it is me, and Photoshop was not created back then. But we're going into her story. I am familiar with her changing her life over and stuff before she passed. Like, I don't know, it wasn't right before she passed, but I am familiar. My dad did share a little bit of that with me. Also, I did change my background for those who are talking about it. Yes, I added some stuff. I got some cassettes over here, some CDs, and moved some stuff around just to change up the image a little bit. For those who are wondering, you can't see the titles, but there is some Grateful Dead in there. There's some Kate Bush in those cassettes. Some Stevie Ray Vaughan is over there, and then some more cassettes behind me. These were sent in by people on this channel, so thank you so much who sent these in. There is an old school cassette player there too. Yes, it does work. So let's dive in. Enough of me. Let's see what this story about Vanity is all about.
Canadian singer-songwriter, dancer, model, and actress Denise Katrina Matthews, professionally known as Vanity, was born in Niagara Falls, Ontario on January 4,
That's something you don't hear
1959. Often. Her mother, of German and Polish Jewish descent, and her African-American father would also have two other daughters together. She also has several half-siblings on her father's side. It was at the tender age of 5 that Denise proclaimed she would be an actress, build a church for Jesus, and live in a castle when she grew up. She revealed in an interview with Jet magazine in 1993 that her father physically and verbally abused her.
Wow. It's crazy to know like a lot of artists did have to deal with abuse coming up. I do hear that a lot. That is a common in a lot of people who are celebrities. That's a strange thing to know that they dealt with some type of physical abuse from a parent or a person is beyond me. But what I was going to say is they always say dream big. And I'm looking at her dreams, and I can imagine her telling somebody that as a kid, like, I want to be an actor. And I forgot what the other one was, but then it says open a church and all this stuff. I can see somebody looking at her and saying, you're out of your mind. Like, but that's that saying, like, she kept her vision. And I believe, I want to say she's probably lived, if not all of it, some of it, which is crazy. But I could just imagine her as a child saying, this is what I want to do. You're out of your mind. You're not going to, that's crazy. But hey, shoot big, I say.
For years. Unfortunately, her mother couldn't come to her rescue since she too was being abused.
Wow.
And she also suffered some brain trauma after going through the windshield in a horrible car accident, sinking into depression and alcoholism. Denise also experienced sexual molestation as a child.
Oh my goodness.
As she got older, she began entering local beauty pageants. She won the Miss Niagara Hospitality title in 1977 and went on to compete for Miss Canada the following year. She eventually moved to Toronto to begin her modeling career. At the age of 17, she moved to New York City to take advantage of more modeling opportunities. She signed with an agency, however, because of her height, or lack thereof, the job she was able to get was limited to commercials and photo shoots instead of runway work. Denise met funk rock icon Prince while attending the American Music Awards in 1980, with Rick James no less. It definitely wasn't love at first sight, on her end anyway. However, they did begin dating shortly after, and he would be the one to rename her Vanity.
This might be crazy, but I didn't know that. I knew about, what was the Apollonia? I knew about her and them dating. I didn't know Vanity. I thought Vanity just, from my impression, I thought Vanity just sang with him. I didn't know they actually dated. So that's something new for me. I was just under the impression that she was just a singer fan, but he actually dated her. It's definitely something new. So I learned something new right now, because that is crazy.
Vanity was actually the second choice after she rejected his first suggestion of the name for a female body part beginning with the same letter.
What?
She was always interested in pursuing a career in singing and acting. However, she was constantly discouraged to do so by those around her. That is until Prince came along. He asked her to be the lead singer of a girl group he was putting together named Vanity 6. The 6, apparently a reference to the number of breasts in the group.
What?
Prince created the whole Vanity 6 image. It bothered me at the time. I lied and said it was the image I wanted. I did it because he told me I had to do it. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't get paid. I got into it. I wanted the old Diana Ross image.
That is the craziest thing well, probably not the craziest, but one of the craziest things I've ever heard. He named them, so he named her Vanity, but joined the group and called them Vanity 6 because there were 6 pair of breasts in the group. That is by far the craziest thing I've ever heard. Prince is a very sexual man. I knew he was sexual, but that and then he wanted to name her name instead of Vanity. We all knew the other V word we were talking about there. Prince. Gosh, nasty Prince.
The funky, erotically charged ensemble recorded one album and had international success with their 1982 pop hit, Nasty Girl.
They sing Nasty Girl?
Prince also decided to put her in the lead female role in his 1984 semi-autobiographical film, Purple Rain.
Love that movie.
However, Vanity had a falling out with her Svengali before filming began, allegedly due to his unfaithfulness. She would also leave Vanity 6. The film would be a big box office hit and feature actress, singer, model Apollonia.
There we go.
Vanity passed up. Vanity would later admit in interviews that she didn't see the movie because she knew it would bring back old memories and make her cry. After leaving the group, she signed with Motown Records and made 2 solo albums, Wild Animal and Skin on Skin. She wrote much of the material on both. She played up her sexy and racy image, which often included performing in lingerie. She also lived a wild and fast lifestyle that eventually would take its toll. She starred in the movies The Last Dragon, 52 Pickup, Never Too Young to Die, and Action Jackson,
I didn't know
the
she was
movie
The
that
Last
featured
Dragon.
her in her highest profile role opposite Carl Weathers, Craig T. Nelson, and Sharon Stone. From the mid-'80s to the early '90s, Vanity guest starred on numerous TV shows such as Miami Vice and Highlander. She also appeared nude in Playboy in April 1988. In addition to Prince, Vanity was also linked romantically to a couple of English blokes, singer-musicians Adam Ant, who wrote the track Vanity about her on his Strip album, as well as Billy Idol. Vanity announced in 1987 that she and Motley Crue bass player Nikki Sixx were engaged. However, they never ended up getting married.
That's crazy.
In his memoir, The Heroin Diaries, A Year in the Life of a Shattered Rock Star, Nikki Sixx shared shocking details of their volatile relationship that also included drug use. In 1994, Vanity overdosed on crack cocaine and suffered from near-fatal renal failure. She was rushed to the hospital, and doctors said she had just 3 days to live while on life support.
Wow. So, do you guys think, like her, like when she first came in, as I said, when she came in with Prince, of course, she didn't want that like sexual image. She didn't want, but she went along with the flow because, of course, the check, you don't do this, you don't get paid, like she said. Do you think like she got caught up in the role, like when she got out of Vanity 6 and went like solo and then dating, Motley Crue, and then, living up to the image? Maybe she just fell into the image. Maybe that's what got her into drug use, keeping up and trying to fit the image of that lifestyle. Because it sounds like she didn't, I don't know if it started like right then and there, but it sounds like from what they're saying here, like her drug use started there. So it seems like she was floating along in the industry for a while without getting involved in heavy drugs, or maybe she was using them, and nobody knew before she got involved. I don't know. But maybe I'm just saying, like, maybe she just wanted to keep up with that image and say, hey, this is the image, this is the lifestyle I'm living a fast life, why not get involved? But that is scary to almost overdose.
You recall that Jesus appeared to her at this time and spoke to her, saying, if she promised to give up her vanity persona, he would save her. Upon her recovery, she completely renounced her stage name and career and became a born-again Christian. Years later in interviews, Denise would also go into detail about being possessed by demons for many years. They attacked her, her home, and the people in her home. To cope, she became involved in psychic work and actually believed she was honoring God. During that time, she was incredibly unhappy and constantly prayed to God to either help her or just let her die. She would eventually walk down the aisle on the arm of Anthony Smith, a former football player for the Oakland Raiders, in 1995 on her first anniversary of sobriety. At the time, Vanity was working as an evangelist in San Jose. She read about Anthony's philanthropic activities and decided to reach out to him. 3 days after they met, she proposed to him, and 1 month later, they were married.
Now that's I guess falling in love. That is crazy. I mean, I guess if you love someone, you love someone. You meet them 3 days later. I've never heard of I've heard of it, but I've never seen. She proposed to him 3 days later, and then they got married a month later. I'm curious now to know. I hope did they last forever? And I don't want the story to end bad. Like, I'm not asking that, but that is a little strange to me. 3 days later, and then you're married a month later. I mean, that got to be some true love. I mean, that has to be like, I really love this person. Did you get to know somebody that fast? That is crazy. That's a fast proposal.
However, from the start, they argued quite often due to their extremely different personalities.
I would think.
Denise, with her giving and compassionate nature, had a habit of inviting homeless people into their home to offer them food and a shower. She would even give out her personal phone number. Anthony, on the other hand, had a very volatile nature. He would also be unfaithful. Not surprisingly, their union would end the following year. It seems that Denise escaped what could have been a tragic situation for herself. In the future, Anthony would be arrested for domestic violence involving another woman, and in 2016, he would be convicted of 3 murders and sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms in prison.
Wait, this story wait a minute, hold on. Let me process this. Man, maybe I shouldn't have asked that. Wait, so they got divorced a year later, which I mean, I'm not trying to put no bad juju. I mean, it's already passed, but I would think they arguing like crazy, like they said. They didn't know each other, so that was quick, you know. And then she was inviting homeless people in the house. I mean, I get the helping hand, but I mean, that's helping beyond. I mean, you got to be a strong-willed person to just offer your home to random strangers and then giving out your phone number. That's a little beyond me of help. I mean, that she was special for that. I will give her that. I mean, I bless her heart for helping. But his story, I mean, gosh, it went from abuse to 3 murders. Who is this man? Wait, didn't they say he was like on some, like before she met him because of, he was on like some like happy like trip, whatever, you know? This man murdered 3 people. Well, I need to know his story now. What is he murder 3 people? Did he murder the women he were dating or just random 3 people? I mean, that story went, that's tragedy.
After a kidney transplant in 1997, Denise dedicated the rest of her life full-time to Christ. She would tell her truth and nothing but the truth in her autobiography, Blame It on Vanity: Hollywood, Hell, and Heaven. She's been asked over the years if she feels Prince did a disservice to her by bringing her into the crazy Hollywood world of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. She emphatically denies that anyone made her do anything.
Okay,
and that's
good
why
answer.
she titled her book, Blame It on Vanity. She takes full responsibility for everything that's transpired in her life. In September 2014, Denise started a GoFundMe to raise money for the republishing of her book. She then planned to use the crowdfunding to pay for her medical bills. Years ago, she chose not to receive any further revenue from her work as Vanity after she cut off all ties with Hollywood and her former life in show business. Due to kidney problems from her 10-year crack cocaine addiction, she had already had 23 surgeries and was currently on dialysis 3 times a week. Her health worsened in 2015 after she was diagnosed with sclerosing encapsulating peritonitis, a rare benign cause of small bowel obstruction. Denise died on February 15, 2016, in Fremont, California, due to kidney failure. She was 57 years old.
She died at 57?
Among those who paid tribute to her
gosh.
after her passing were drummer Sheila E., The Roots frontman Questlove, and executive producer for The Last Dragon, Berry Gordy. Former lover Prince, who would also pass away just 2 months later, dedicated several songs to her during a show in Australia. Rapper MC Hammer tweeted that he had just attended church with her 2 days prior on Saturday.
Wow, MC
He had
Hammer in
hoped
church
she
too?
would return the next day as well, and even looked for her. Then, the announcement came that she had fallen ill during the night. She was childlike in her exuberance for God. She loved and trusted him wholeheartedly. Heaven is hers.
That's such a sad story. I mean, man, that is tragic. She had a lot of tragedy in her life. Like, wow, her mom coming up, and then abuse, the sexual assault early, getting involved in the industry, and then, the addiction to her husband she married, to divorce, to him being the murderer. I mean, God bless this woman, because that is a lot for a human being to intake, and not even including probably all the little stuff in between that's left out, then becoming addicted to drugs for 10 years. That's a long time. And then the drugs personally being the reason why you're dying, and then trying to keep faith above all that. Man, that's a strong woman. That is a strong woman. I did not know this much about her. I just knew about, my dad told me, like, when he brought her up and said, she changed her life over it, but I didn't know, like, she went through all this. This is why I always say these documentaries are helpful, because, man, it's one thing to react to this music and say, oh, this is great, and the musicianship, the stuff that's in the music, but to hear their stories, it's like, it just gives me a different persona and perspective on these artists. Man, this one was crazy. This one was tough. Wow. But from what I've seen, when she was a sweet person, and I love that, the fact that, because everybody always try to put the blame on somebody else. It's always somebody else's fault. I heard that in a lot of these documentaries, like, oh, it's this person's fault. They did it, and Vanity made a choice to say, Vanity made these decisions. Prince just introduced me to Vanity. I ran with the name and basically became Vanity and turned Vanity into this. So she put the blame on herself, and I'm glad she stepped up and did that. And then she changed her life for the best. So, it sounds like she definitely lived the life, maybe not all of it, but she lived the life. She transformed the life she wanted to live and became the person she wanted to be and lived a grateful life. Even though she was taken from us young, I feel like she still had joy in her life of what she was doing after Hollywood. But let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this one. Thank you guys for dropping this one off. This one's an amazing one to go into again. Thank you guys for supporting. All the love and support. See you guys in the next one.